Let's begin with something like sending you to the thought process. Let's take a moment and think about the last time life threw you a curveball. Maybe your favorite app completely changed its design overnight. Just 2 days back, my webcam just broke, or perhaps your carefully planned vacation got rained out, or maybe something bigger, like suddenly having to work from home when you never had before. So, how did you feel? Frustrated, anxious, or ready to throw your phone across the room? So, we've all been there. Change and uncertainty can feel like uninvited guests who show up at your door and refuse to leave. But what if I told you that your relationship with uncertainty could completely transform? And that instead of dreading change, you could learn to dance with it. So today, I want to share something beautiful with you, that adaptability is like water. It reshapes itself, yet never loses its essence. So think about water for a moment. When you pour it into a cup, it becomes the cup. Pour it into a bowl, it becomes the bowl. Freeze it, and it becomes solid. Heat it, it becomes steam. Water never argues with its circumstances. It simply adapts while always remaining water. So, what if we could learn to do the same? So, let's talk about two different people facing the exact same situation. So, imagine a coffee shop that suddenly closes in your neighborhood. The first person thinks, "Oh, this is terrible. I've gone there every morning for 5 years. My whole routine is ruined. Nothing will ever be as good." They spend weeks complaining, driving 20 minutes out of the way to avoid trying the new coffee place that opened instead. Now, the second person, he thinks, well, that's disappointing, but I love their lattes. But maybe the new place has something interesting I've never tried before. And hey, change of scenery might be nice. And they give the new place a chance and discover they make amazing pastries the old place never had. So, same situation, completely different experiences. And this is the difference between what psychologists call a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. So, fixed mindset sees change as a threat. It says, this isn't how things are supposed to be. It clings to how things were and resists what is. And it wants guarantee and certainty. But whereas a growth mindset, it sees change as an opportunity. It says, I wonder what I might discover here. It approaches uncertainty with curiosity rather than fear. And it understands that discomfort is often the price of growth. And the fascinating thing, that this mindset isn't something you are born with, it's something you choose and practice every single day in big and small moments. You get to decide that will I approach this change with rigidity or flexibility? And there's a wonderful saying, the tree that doesn't bend with the wind breaks. Have you ever noticed how palm trees can withstand hurricane force winds? While sturdy oaks might topple over, palm trees bend almost to the ground without snapping. So when we approach life with rigidity, insisting that things must go according to plan, we create our own suffering. Let me give you some everyday examples. The traffic jam example we have already shared earlier too, that you're stuck in unexpected traffic, running late for an important meeting, and the rigid response is to grip the steering wheel, repeatedly checking the time, cursing other drivers, and work yourself into a state of stress. Now, has that ever made traffic move faster? Never, right? Now, the flexible response is to accept what you cannot change. Call ahead to let people know and use the time productively. Maybe listen to a podcast or practice deep breathing. Then let's talk about the technology change because that is changing nowadays and actually very fast. So your phone updates overnight and all your favorite features have changed. So the rigid response is to get frustrated, complain, waste energy fighting this inevitable. But the flexible response is to give yourself permission to feel annoyed for a minute. That works. That's okay. Not a problem. But then curious about what new capabilities might be available. And if we talk about relationships, your teenager certainly doesn't want to participate in your traditional family game night anymore. The rigid response is to take it personally and force them to attend, creating tension and resentment in the house. But the flexible response might be to evolve the tradition. Maybe you do it less frequently and find new activities that better match the current interests. So, in each case, the situation itself isn't causing the suffering, but our rigid insistence that things should be different than shouldn't be different than they are. So, throughout history, those who have thrived during uncertain times weren't necessarily the strongest, the smartest, or even the most prepared. They were the most adaptable. So let me share a few examples. During the pandemic, many restaurants struggled when in person dining shut down. So those with rigid thinking said, this is how we have always done business. We can't change. And many unfortunately closed. But others pivoted quickly, creating meal kits, converting parking lots to outdoor dining, and embracing delivery apps. And one local restaurant owner told me, we had to reinvent our business in a weekend. But we discovered new customer segments we never would have reached otherwise. And if we talk about students, think suddenly they had to adapt to online learning. Some struggled against the change, constantly comparing into how things should be, but others embrace the new format, finding benefits like recorded lectures they could rewatch and flexible study schedules. Same circumstances, completely different experiences. So these stories actually share a common thread that these people didn't just survive uncertainty, They used it as a fuel for reinvention. And there's something fascinating about uncertainty that we often miss. It's the birthplace of possibility. When everything is certain and predictable, there's no room for discovery, innovation, or growth. Think of all the amazing things that wouldn't exist if people had refused to adapt to changing circumstances. Working from home, which has given many people more time with family. Online learning platforms that make education accessible to people worldwide. New medical technologies developed during crisis. So even something as simple as discovering a new route home when your usual one is blocked and finding it actually faster. So uncertainty creates space for discoveries. As the poet John beautifully put it, the human heart is the most resilient thing in creation, and our hearts are made for adventure and discovery. So, like any skill, adaptability gets stronger with practice. So, there are three simple ways to build this muscle. One, start with small changes. Intentionally alter small routines. Take a different route to work. Try foods you think you don't like. Use your non dominant hand for simple tasks. These tiny adaptations build your comfort with the unfamiliar. And number two, practice both or and thinking. Instead of seeing situations as all good or all bad, practice finding multiple perspectives. Ask yourself, what's challenging about this situation? And what opportunities might it present? And number three, develop a curiosity mindset. When facing change, ask questions like, what might I learn from this? Or how might this help me grow? Rather than, why is this happening to me? I would like you to take a moment right now to reflect on one area in your life where you are resisting change. Maybe it's a workflow that's being updated, a relationship that's evolving, or a life transition you are facing. And ask yourself honestly, am I fighting this change or flowing with it? What would it look like to approach this situation with the adaptability of water? How might my experience transform if I chose curiosity over resistance? And now, imagine yourself 6 months from now, having navigated this change with grace and flexibility. What would you want your future self to remember about how you handled this transition? And what qualities would you hope to have demonstrated? So, when this session ends, I encourage you to write a short letter to your future self, appreciating the adaptability you are developing right now. Remind yourself that your essence, your values, your character, your purpose remains unchanged even as you reshape yourself to meet new circumstances. Nature teaches us that adaptability, and that isn't a weakness, it's profound wisdom. The mighty sequoia tree can stand for thousands of years not because it resists the elements, but because it has developed a remarkable adaptability to fire, drought, and changing conditions. And likewise, our adaptability is not about abandoning who we are or what matters to us. Rather, it's about finding new ways to express our unchanging essence in changing times. So, my invitation to you is very simple. Choose one area of your life where you have been rigid and experiment with flexibility instead. When you feel that instinctive resistance to change rising up, take a breath and whisper to yourself, like water, I can reshape without losing my essence. And the most beautiful paradox of adaptability is this: the more willing we are to change our approach, the more clearly our true nature shines through. And when we stop fighting what is, we free ourselves to focus on what could be. So, with that thought, thank you. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
sir. Thank you so much. Thank you.